Hello, everybody. Welcome to Anime Sickos. It's the podcast for geniuses and the only podcast, can you believe it, on which we talk about the four pillars of modern misery. What are they? They're anime, gaming, posting, and jobs, of course. I am Tom, an anime sicko.
I am Joe, an anime sicko. There's also another pillar. It's just called going to the doctor.
We do that a lot these days. The funny thing about going to the doctor is they don't make... you doesn't get better.
I got an MRI last week. It took extra long, and it hurt a lot. And then today I got a call, and they're like, so, the part where the machine is loud and makes Half-Life noises, like we turned that part on. But the part where it gets a picture of your shit, we forgot. So you got to do it again. So I feel insane.
Yeah. This is the first episode of the new year. It's 2025, folks. Round of applause. I don't want to say anything because I remember we started out just before the pandemic, and there's a lot of stuff we have on record that, like, in retrospect, it's like, oh, how ironic. So I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to put anything on record to jinx it that you can listen back to later and be like, oh, how awful, how ironic. But what I will say is that I feel like 2025, I have a good feeling that it's probably going to be the year with the lowest ever chance of me or my loved ones dying of bird flu. I really am confident about this. We have one new patron to thank. It's Electric Gaunt. Thank you for patronizing us. That kicks ass.
It's so cool when you give us money.
You can Patreon on us by looking at fucking Google with the keywords that you think you would use to find Anime Sickos in Patreon. We have a guest this episode. This is a guest episode. I'd like to welcome Merritt K to the podcast. Hello, Merritt.
Hey, thanks for having me.
It's an honor. Who are you? What's your deal? Describe yourself.
Summarize yourself in like a nice little package, please.
Sorry, yeah. I have to open.
This is a job interview.
I'm going to open up Twitter and do the new profile summary feature, and it says Merritt K is an account that posts insightful but critical commentary on. Oh my God, why did they do this? That's a real feature that exists now. And in case you don't want to actually use social media and just have a robot tell you what someone is, but
wait, straight up, I have not been using.
I'm not
Twitter.
joking.
I thought you were
That's
making
not
a
a joke. It's not a bit. That's a real thing. I check Twitter like maybe like once every few days at this point, and have it's a barren wasteland, a blasted hellscape, and they've just added some new robots to sort of like scour the remains of human life that are retreating ever deeper into the underground of the rubble.
It's like half bots, right?
Oh, it's just all bots. It's all bots. Everything that if you think it's a human, it's just like a long con machine. We're fully in dead internet territory, but I'm an alive human for real, 100%. Not a robot, sent from the future. And I don't know. Yeah, what is my deal? I guess I post a lot, which is a kind of a grim realization at this point in my life. But people might know me from the LAN Party book that I put out last year, which was a coffee table book of LAN party pictures, which is the last good thing that Twitter gave me, I think, because that book only exists because of Twitter, because a post about that idea blew up and I took it to a publisher. Or what else? Yeah, I just put out a game with two colleagues, and it's called Fledgling Manor, so people might have heard of that. Mm-hmm. And I used to work at a site called Fanbyte for a few years. That was really cool until it became good and wasn't allowed to exist. It exceeded the threshold of like positivity or like utility or fun, and had to be cut down by the remorseless scythe of progress because it wasn't.
Isn't that funny how that keeps happening?
Yeah, it's great.
It'll end soon, right? Like we'll just get past it and things will get better.
Yeah.
Eventually, the machine will be full, and it will be like, I don't need any more blood.
Yeah, you'd think the tank would fill up, but no, I think Peter Thiel just keeps drinking it, and he'll never be sated. So we're doomed.
So I didn't know he was I knew Musk is South African. I didn't know Thiel was as well until recently, and I gotta say, that makes sense.
What? Wait, is that for real? They're all fucking white South Africans?
Wait, really?
Joe, are you giving me misinformation? I'm Googling this.
I mean,
I'm looking this up.
That would explain a lot, I think, right? I don't know. I saw Nosferatu last night, and I'm just like, wow, this is just Peter Thiel. It's Brian Johnson. It's all these guys. Just suck that blood right out of the hearts.
Oh my God. I'm on his Wikipedia. In 1977, the Thiel family lived in South Africa. Peter changed elementary school 7 times due to always killing small animals during recess. That part I added.
You had me for a second. You had me.
But he did change school 7 times. I wonder why. Probably wasn't something normal.
Yeah, he was too
Jesus
great at
Christ.
making friends, too normal. Everyone loved him too much.
He was
And,
100%ing every school so quickly.
Yeah.
He disrupted the learning experience because the kids wouldn't pay attention because like he was too good at hanging. Like the
Right.
chill vibes never ended.
Exactly. Yeah.
My read on you, Merritt, if I were to be the AI that summed this up, I'm about to read the dumbest fucking joke I thought up right before we started
Hell yeah.
this, and it's not good, but I'm so happy about it. I said, Merritt strikes me as a polymath, which sounds like being in a relationship with a bunch of numbers and Greek letters.
Wow. Yeah. That's, that's probably better than most stand-up today, because stand-up is not so much about even telling jokes anymore as it is about, if YouTube is any indication, I mean, it's just about saying like, can you believe that? And then you fill in the blank of like your hated
Yeah.
social group, and then people are like clap and whoop at you. So
There's a lot of crowd work, so you'd be pointing at someone in the crowd,
Yeah.
like, look at this guy, he's gay, and then like you just leave the stage and get your big check from Elon Musk.
right.
I want to talk about your game Fledgling Manor because it is a visual novel, if I'm understanding this
That's
correctly.
correct. So under the strict definitions set down, I feel like 10 years ago by Gamergate, it is not a game, technically speaking. But
Not even a walking simulator.
it's no, you
can't
don't
walk.
walk. It's like a reading simulator, which I mean, it's not even
It's like
simulating
I'm
it.
really reading a book.
You're just reading. Yeah, it's just, bro, where's my leveling up? Where's my stats? Where's my grind? But yeah, it's a visual novel, and it's, I don't know, that's a genre that I don't play a lot of, and so it was interesting.
So I don't either.
to work on.
I'm
one,
late
but-
to VNs in general. It's
Right.
Just, this is maybe unfair to say because you just released one, but I associated with perverts.
Oh,
I did.
absolutely, 100%. Yeah, it's like there is some really cool stuff that people have done in that genre, and at the same time, historically, a lot of it is just like dating sim stuff, right? Like it's like Japanese PC stuff, and some of that stuff again is cool, but a lot of it is just like, what if you were an average schoolboy and you could date any of these like busty teens, and but then you get like the sort of other, like the pushback on that in the last like few years, especially in the West, of like, we understand the tropes of this genre. We're going to subvert them a little bit and get really weird. And it's like, how about you're dating, and then you're just like looking furiously like around your office, like a fake plant. What if the fake plant was a guy that you were dating? What if this video game controller was a sexy lady? And it's like, okay, this is how we get the KFC dating sim, which was a real thing that came out like 4 years ago. So we're kind of in between. I don't know. We were sort of like trying to make an interesting story that isn't like we're much more sophisticated than all of this like this horse shit, right?
You don't want to like, how do I put this? Make it seem like you're better than the
Exactly,
genre you were
yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it starts the art off from a place of smugness, which like,
Right.
Well, this is now my end. Like I'm the first thing I'm doing is looking for something to like deflate the smugness and defeat the game. And it's like no.
100%,
No,
yeah.
it's fun. Like sometimes, and again, this is gonna sound out of character, but I'm still right. Sometimes it's good for someone to just be horny. Like okay,
Sure.
like, it can. That's
Yeah.
fine.
It can, yeah. I mean, I think that's totally fine. It's just like everything is at this point in like a really specific way too. I'll take variation, you know? That's even that would be good.
Yeah, it's the sameness. I mean, this is the thing I have with a lot of bad low quality anime shit. When people like are huge heads for like a gacha game and they're like, I got like Shimuzu, look.
Yeah.
And it's just like
That's a 3-star.
this is like the default model of like anime girl character creator. How do you have strong feelings about this? This is the default. And like yeah, a lot of horniness is the default. Like how about what if you're never gonna believe this? What if we put big bouncing boobs on this extremely thin child? And it's like, okay.
Yeah, like all right,
Yeah.
guys. Like I don't know, just it like it's old. I feel like I don't know. I was looking at Steam earlier today and just like wow, there's a lot of that still, huh? And a lot of it now is AI generated too, which creeps me out because like the idea that a computer is like at least if someone drew it, there is, even if it's just like really bottom of the barrel whatever shit, it's like someone drew this and like a human put work into creating something that would make someone horny. when a computer does it, it's like you're being tricked into the matrix. Like, how do people not see this? Like, oh, AI generate to me a horny lady, and it's like, just like plug your fucking brain into the computer at that point, homie. And like some people probably want that, but it's just like, I refuse. Much like Rohan Kashibe, I refuse.
Very good. So as I've become more of a guy in my 30s, the visual novel format and genre, I feel like it's grown in my estimation. As a college student, I'd be like, you can't play Team Fortress 2 on that. Boo. But especially being a creative person, it's just like, having played Disco Elysium, which is essentially just a visual novel with a little bit of set dressing to make it seem more like a RPG, but it's a visual novel. Let's be real.
Right.
I love it just because it's like freebasing writing, and it's really hard to do that these days. Because of all of the problems, and especially because we love on this show to do fucking sketches and skits, which no one likes or people like, but they're the outliers.
But it's a hostage situation.
Yes. So I feel visual novels are the sketches of video games, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You skip them on the rap album. I understand.
Right. but the art, they're for the artist, right? Yeah.
Yes, it's so good. The most recent one I played is Ace Attorney, which doesn't really count.
I've actually been playing Phoenix Wright for the first time. For some reason, I played the second and third ones, back in the late 2000s. But the first one, I think it had a really small print run when it first came out, and I could never find it. And then I realized I think I had bought it for my mom a few years ago, but she never played it. So I have a DS in Phoenix Wright, and I've just been going through it. And I'm like, oh damn, this game is still really, really good. They nailed so much of this, and it just gave me a lot of ideas for a follow up. And I think the thing with a visual novel too is there is a certain element of, at least for us, it was we're 3 people who made this in 6 months, and none of us are coders, so I don't like making computers try to do things. And it was sort of okay, this is the smallest scoped thing that we can accomplish in less than a year. And so now we're looking at, okay, what if we did something more like Disco Elysium with a world you walk around in and stats and stuff, because I like that stuff too. It's cool. It's just it's more, more work, more learning how to do stuff. And, I don't know. I think I've seen a lot of people play it who are oh, I don't play visual novels, but I like this one because it.
Oh, that's good.
It isn't, people who are it's not what I think of when I think of this, because I think a lot of people do think oh, it's a dating sim, and it's really, this one is really not. I guess we haven't said what it's about, but for people who don't know, it's basically about Big Brother if everyone is a vampire and you were killed instead of just having to leave the house. When you say
Big Brother, the TV show, not Big Brother, the 1984 concept.
Right. Yeah. The
well, it is.
The TV show. Sort of, I guess people compare it to Danganronpa a little bit, although it's not investigating things really. It's just if you're voted out, then you're killed. I think that's kind of a subgenre at this point now. This death game kind of. I mean, Squid Game, games. All kinds of things where it's a game show where you're killed if you lose. But
hell yeah. So you probably don't know, we, for our patrons on Patreon, we call patrons because I fucking misspeak all the time. We have been noodling around with a visual novel engine that is all open source, easy to use. We made a Deadwood game that was 2 minutes long and was just
Yeah.
But I've been working on a bigger one, and it's not out yet. I'm still waiting on the art. Gonna be done by Tom McHenry. If you know
hell
who
yeah,
that is, folks out there.
Yeah. If people haven't played Horsemaster, if that game is still around, it's one of the best games that came out of the Twine era that has ever been made.
It is still around. I
great.
A while ago.
Yeah, because a lot of that stuff has fallen off the internet, but Tom is a fucking genius.
I've never met someone with a greater disparity between his obvious genius and his own conception.
Do you not
of his
see
genius.
the ducks you're drawing?
Right.
You are drawing crazy, awesome ducks.
Right.
Do you not see that?
Every time he's oh, it's been so long since I put anything out. I guess I'm terrible now. It's buddy, you can make a duck. You're God. You're basically better than God. Anyway.
Yeah. If people haven't read played Horsemaster or read Tom McHenry's comics, Also Sarah, her stuff is amazing too. I think they have like a joint Etsy where you can just download all their stuff. Highly recommend it.
You can also buy a patch and or sticker based off of Sarah's incredible good grade in therapy
Oh
tweet.
yes, yeah.
They're great. They've also both been on Anime Psychos. Go listen to them if you haven't. Go back in the back catalog. Look up Anime Psychos, Ham and Sarah McHenry on Google, and you'll find it, because that's how it works, unless an AI gets you first. Ooh, spooky. The point being, so I'm working on this. It's not done yet. As someone who has just completed and released a visual novel, I just want to make sure that I have the right idea about what's going to happen when we're done. So my conception is that when you release a video game, you become immortal and become made of gold.
Right.
All of your creative ambitions are fulfilled totally, forever even. And the sense of triumph you earned fills the hole within you finally, rendering you complete. So I guess my question to you is that fun?
Yeah, are you bored?
Yeah, I mean it's like that Simpsons episode where Homer, is like imagining what it would be like if you robbed the Quickie Mart. And
Look closer, Lenny.
I feel like I'm conflating two things. There's one where he's made of gold, and then there's the one where he's like sitting on his
On the porch, right?
Like
yes,
twirling,
yes.
And like Marge is just go dancing next to him. Yeah, it's both of those things, which is what's so great about it. But honestly, it has been really cool because you make something like this, and it's like, I don't know, no one's heard of us as a studio before because we just started it to do this. Obviously, like I have a bit of an audience coming into this, and my co-writer and the artist on the game have a bit of an audience as well. But I was like, we basically talked before we released it, and we're like, you know what? We put about $1,000 into this thing just to commission music and for a couple of PR things and stuff like that. And like, if we make that back, we'll be happy. And it's like we did, and like it's not made a lot of money, but we've sold about 800 copies so far, which is pretty cool. So it's like seeing reviews, like honestly, like I can, I have brain problems. I feel like most of us, where like Tom, where it's like, oh, but like now I have to do something else, or like, oh, this isn't good enough, or here's all the ways in which this fell short, or whatever. But then like you read reviews from people who are just like, wow, this was like an incredible story. Or like the craziest thing for me has been like, we've had like a handful of reviews from Chinese players who are like I had to look up some words in this, but it was like really incredible. I'm like, holy shit, that's fucking cool as hell, man. Like someone in China was like playing this despite the fact that there is no like Chinese translation available. And like,
so they were just translating it.
I'm sure they like, maybe they knew some English, or they were like running it through a translator or something. But it's like, wow, you put a lot of work in to like play this thing that I made. Like that kicks ass. It is really humbling and cool to see that. And there's I think always this fantasy of like, we're gonna do the next like weird breakout Tumblr hit where people are like obsessed with it and drawing stuff. And there actually has been some fan art and fan fiction, which that also is crazy.
Right. When people sit down and draw things you make,
right,
for fun, for free, that is like, oh, okay, that is the creative dream, right?
Yeah, it's really, really wild. And I think now I'm just in this space where I'm kind of like antsy because we put it out like close to the beginning of December, and then it was the holidays, and now I'm just like, okay, I want to like get back to doing something. I feel like this compulsion to do that. So yeah.
Like, I totally agree, and I think we share that mindset of, like, when you're making art and you're making something creative, like, if you're expecting, if your metric of success is financial, it's like, you got born in the wrong fucking world, asshole. Like, sorry, we are in hell time. Like, if you are not turning the crank on the blood machine, like, you are fucked dollar bill wise. Speaking of, Joe, how's the job search going? Badly on my end.
Nothing. Like I'm gonna just live in the sewers.
Yeah, that's my plan as well. All of which is to say, the way to do it is, as you say, what is the point of this? The point is to have some creative fulfillment and like reach someone And like if that wasn't, if like we hadn't like internalized that as like our goal, we'd have gone insane.
Right.
A few times, a few projects, I was like, maybe I've had that same thought. It's like maybe it will be the breakout thing. And when it isn't, I feel bad.
Right.
And it's just like, why did I like that feeling bad? I caused that.
It's a perfectionism issue, right? Like you are always changing the parameters on yourself a little bit. Like even if you're like, oh, I will be a success if I do X.
Mm-hmm.
If this is how I am anyway, X rolls around and I'm like, actually it was X plus 2.
Yeah, it's like it's such a bad like way to approach this stuff that we're all trained to do. Like we still all kind of believe like that we could win the lottery of artistic or creative work of like, oh, well, one day like this person will listen to my podcast or this person will post on Instagram about like my book or something, and then that will catapult it to success. And I guess for me, what I've tried to think about in the last couple of years is like, okay, say that does happen, then what? Like even then, like is the idea then, oh, then I'll be materially secure and thus happy forever? Like rich people are fucking miserable, and obviously it would be nice to be like at least baseline secure and not worrying about money all the time. Like that, there's a difference between that and like, having way too much money. But like, if you're not doing this stuff for the process, then you are setting yourself up to constantly be miserable, like regardless of how it does. I think even if it does well, if you're in that brain space, it's never going to be good enough.
Yeah. And an interesting, not that interesting, but an angle worth bringing up at least briefly is like, to our eyes, like you're like a big poster. You are like, we've discussed this.
I'm an asymmetric.
Yeah, that's a big sin.
To our conception before we were like talking to you personally and like, oh my God, she's a real person. Merritt K, like to me, that's like, again, like an image of an anvil on a civilization map. It's like, here you will get resources from. Like if you see this picture, there will be a post there and you're just like, yeah. And like it used to be that like being a big poster truly was like a guaranteed
you get a sitcom
road to money.
You could get shit my dad says.
Right.
Now it seems like it's purely like pure self-harm to have an account with 5-digit followers or more.
It's weird. I don't know. Like I feel like it definitely is less meaningful than it was maybe 10 years ago. Like Twitter, I mean, obviously Twitter is worthless now. Like it means nothing to have an account on there. I guess maybe Instagram still kind of means something, although less than it did. And then TikTok is really the only social network where like people actually care about it. But like even then, most people on that service are not making money, even if they have a big account. And like it's strange to like see this stuff change, because I think for a long time, I was convinced that like, oh, like Twitter is like getting me opportunities and stuff. And it was for a while. Like when I lost my job in 2018, after the company I was working for, Verve, basically it got bought by AT&T, or like Crunchyroll got bought by AT&T, and then like they shut down Verve. And
isn't it funny how that keeps happening?
It's just like everything keeps getting gobbled up. At some point there won't be anything to eat anymore, and then what's going to happen? It's like best not to think about it, I guess. But
that's when Anime Sicko sweeps in and fills the void. Will be the one thing no one wants to buy.
But like at that point, and this is partly a function of like the media ecosystem changing as well. I got scooped up within like 3 weeks. Like someone reached out to me on Twitter and was like, "Hey, I just saw you got laid off. Do you like want a new job at this site that I've been like developing, and like we have funding and stuff?" And when I got laid off from that site in 2023, I have not found a full-time job since then. And it's like partly Twitter has become less useful, partly media jobs have fallen apart, and like the economy has changed in a lot of ways. But I think I still am like tied into this legacy thinking of like, this is really important, and like it's where connections and like jobs and stuff come from. And it's like, no, it's not. It's just where numbers come from at this point. And like I need to work on maybe weaning myself off of numbers.
I think the issue, and this is my problem too, I mean, I'm not in a position where I'm like getting opportunities, but like for Twitter for so long was the way you described. And because I spent so much time on it doing time theft at work, I in my heart of hearts, there's like a part of me that always thinks it's like that still. Like there's something there that's like worth saving. And it's not. It's garbage. It's absolutely shit. And I guess it's just like remorse from, I guess essentially like The thing when it really was shitty and Blue Sky was not up and running, and not to say that Blue Sky is like amazing or anything, but it just felt like, okay, well, I invested a lot of time. Not that I did this for a productive reason, but at the end of the day, this is like an MMO I put a ton of time into, and now they're shutting off the servers.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like I never got to the end. Like I never get to the level cap.
Right.
But like, I have a few cool items, and it's like you tell me the items are gone now. It's like
Yeah. They should have been NFTs. Then I could take them to another game.
oh my god, I love that. It's like you can get a gun in Call of Duty and then put it in Mario.
Yep, that was the dream. The beautiful dream of NFTs that was never realized because now we're on AI.
Do you think anyone ever asked Zuckerberg, like, hey, I forgot, why is the company called Meta anymore? Like, do you think he gets embarrassed having to explain that? Like, I remember when Mueller, she wrote, got on Blue Sky, and everyone was, like, roasting them, like, get out of here, get out of here. And I had what I think is my most underrated post ever, which I just replied to them and said, who's Mueller? The only like it ever got was from Branson Reese. Thank you, King. I know if no one got my back, you got my back.
100%, yeah.
Just because, what would the process be for them to explain why, like, who Mueller is? And it's like, is that not embarrassing? At what point in the explanation?
God.
Like, what facts are you going to leave out to make yourself?
Also, he voted for Trump for sure.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
He's like, well, that Trump, he outfoxed me, and so he will be able to outfox America's enemies. Because Jesus Christ.
I feel like social media is a little bit cooked, and everyone is like slowly catching up to that, except for the follow people on Blue Sky who are just like, this is the most important thing in the world, is to like expose myself to just the fire hose of like misery and like insanity, and like if you don't follow me back, then you're a war criminal or something. Like, it's very strange.
Yeah, it's weird. This is morality. I don't know where it's coming from. There's like this Puritan thing regarding the rules of following. It's clearly coming from a place where no one has control, and they are trying to feel something.
Absolutely.
My take. So this is my read on this situation, or rather, the read on why these follow people are so intense about it. I mean, because we realize that to do this is insane, because if you have 50,000 followers and you want to follow 50,000 people back, you're going to have to click a button 50,000 times, which is a activity that will cause you to go insaner. And then also you're going to have to look at the timeline of 50,000 people. Two prongs here. One, I think that these people think that the timeline is the news, and that in order to be an informed citizen, you have to read the news, and the news has to be 50,000 resist libs. Like, that's the only way you'll know. Otherwise, you're going to be ill-equipped to deal with the rising tide of fascism. Number two, and they believe that the front line in the battle against the rising tide of fascism is entirely contained within their own brain. What is the main thing to do to resist? Well, not even main. The only thing you do to resist is you look at the right posts. The entire game is if I must put my brain under extreme posting stress, and then once I've accomplished this, Trump will become a dead guy. As ever, bearing witness to injustice automatically fixes it. The fact that I drove myself insane was the noblest thing I could ever do.
Yeah. I don't know how we got here exactly. I have a vague sense of it, of just like everyone getting on Twitter in 2016 and Facebook sort of collapsing and those people moving onto Twitter. And yeah, it's just really dire. Like, and I feel like it is mainly like older people in their 50s and up, like who think this way.
I saw it described as like the best way to get interaction right now on Blue Sky is to criticize Gen X.
Yes.
We drank from the hose, damn it. We drank from the
Too.
hose.
That's just stupid.
You know what I think it fucking is? So, and I'm feeling this already. The front line for resistance is going to be young people, as it has been since there was something to resist, you know? That's always the truth. And these Gen Xers are getting old, and like all people who are getting old, they do not want to admit it. And so they're like, no, we're the front line of resistance, and the way we're going to do it is we're going to like all chant a spell. Like, we're going to cast a spell, and like our magic is going to save the day. And the magic is posting based. Because like there's no other, they're so like self-serious about it. And like I put a screenshot in this of like some like Drill made a joke about Jimmy Carter, and one of these people is like, ugh, I thought we left the garbage like drill back on Twitter. I'm like, I'm sorry, the most beloved comedy writer living? He's garbage to you that you wish you could leave behind? Like, because he's ruining the spell, because he's not chaining the words right.
Yeah.
So can we ask you now, if you are an anime sicko, can we ask you the dreaded question?
Yeah. Wow. God. I mean, I have been an anime sicko at times in my life. I think I was an anime sicko when I was a lot younger. And I just kind of just fell off at some point. Like I don't watch a lot of anime anymore. I am watching Jojo Part 5 right now, which I read 10 years ago, the terrible fan translation of it. But I am really just sort of into Jojo and like a couple other things. Every few years I'll watch something. Like I've seen a few shows, and then I have a lot of friends who are deeply, deeply invested. And so I'll pick up stuff like through osmosis. So like I kind of know, also just being online now, it's really weird as someone who grew up when anime was like a kind of weird peripheral thing to now be like, oh, it's cool now. I think we made a really big mistake actually in like normalizing anime. Like it's, I don't want pro athletes to be like, yeah, I love Goku and whatever. And it's like, that's fucking weird, dog. Like, and not even like I suffered, so like you have to suffer if you're in anime. I'm like, no, I think it's just, I don't think
it just puts it at the right distance if you're approaching it like that.
Yeah, like when I saw the Andreessen Horowitz article in the fall that was like anime is the new AI.
What the?
Oh, did you guys not know about this?
Say?
Did you guys not know about this?
No.
The A16Z. There's like a whole like article on Andreessen Horowitz about how anime is the next AI or metaverse or whatever.
Anime makes money though.
Yes, yeah. But they're like, we're gonna have AI anime companions and VTubing and user-generated content platforms like Roblox to make anime. And so it's like I think it's done. I think it's going to like go around and we're gonna go back to like being marginalized again, maybe. But I was in Japan for the first time recently and had an experience there that was actually pretty nice. But when I got to Japan and was like, oh fuck, I have an anime tattoo, and so I guess that actually answers the question in one sentence. Like yes, I guess yes is the answer because I have a fucking anime tattoo.
This has happened so many times with the guest. It's like, I don't know.
Am I really an anime sicko?
Then 5 minutes later, they're like, it's like, technically I'm legally married to Goku, actually. It's like, what the?
Yeah, Goku is my legal husband. And so like ages ago, I got really into JoJo like in like 2012, 13, around there when the show started airing. And then a few years later, I got for some reason, I was like, well, I'm never going to have an office job or like need to work anywhere where anyone cares about how I look. So yeah, I will get a Killer Queen hand tattoo.
That's sick as hell.
It's so, folks, you didn't see. It's so sick.
That's it.
Thank you. But like here, no one, very, very few people will clock it as an anime tattoo because it just looks like a skull. And then when I was in Japan, I was like, oh, fuck, wait, I have an anime tattoo on my hand. I look like a fucking typical American weeb. And like everyone's going to be like just making fun of me. And the only interaction I ever had around it was I was on a train and there was this like high school age girl who was sort of like, I don't know, had the vibes of like a Cookie Monster pajama pants kind of person, but was wearing like a sort of
to anyone.
Yeah, like wearing like a suit that sort of didn't really fit right. And then had like the tie that Kira wears in part 4 with the Killer Queen logo on it. And we were just on the train and, everyone's very quiet because it's the train in Japan. And I didn't strike up conversations with a lot of people there because it's not super common. But I turned to her and go, sumimasen, and then just like point to my hand. And she was just like her eyes like just light up and was like, like, can I take a picture? And I'm like, yeah, of course. Like, and it was just such like a cute interaction. And I was like, okay, I'm redeemed. This is fine now. But yeah, so yes, I am.
Yeah, you're an anime
yes,
sicko. Come on. I mean, also, I just want to make it clear. A lot of people, especially people who are not like our buddies for years, they hear anime sicko and they think it means someone who watches anime a lot. We have not watched anime in like 6 years.
Right.
And JoJo is an anime. It's like its own category.
Yeah,
it's just
it feels
JoJo.
like its own thing at this point. There's just
Can we let's switch gears completely and talk about JoJo now.
Okay.
It's fucking good, right?
I'm a little behind. I haven't read well, depends on how you define behind, I guess, but I haven't read part 8 at all.
Part 8's so fucking good. You're gonna love that.
Yeah, all I know is about part 8 is there's another guy named Kira, and I think the main guy has 3 balls.
Yeah, he's actually got 4 balls on
Oh.
account of he's 2 guys that have been merged
Oh,
together.
holy shit.
Yeah. I think that's like a spoiler, but you learned that really soon. And whatever. Also, like, what is that even like? That, knowing
Right.
that, what is that like? Huh?
Yeah.
What do you freaking mean?
It's
2
all
guys merged
spoiled
together?
now.
Oh, the whole story.
Yeah.
It's ruined. Yeah.
But part 5, I think we've talked about before we started recording. Part 5 is the part where he fully transitions into making the boys wiry twinks exclusively.
Mm-hmm.
Like no one will ever be buff again. And I love this.
It's really funny to trace the progression of the style from like part 3 and just looking at how Jotaro changes from like, it's funny, like he kind of ages in reverse because of it. Like when he's a 16-year-old guy, he looks like he's like a 40-year-old man. And then by the time he's in like part 6, he's just like all of his like edges have been sanded off and he's just like been in a rock tumbler for like 20 years and just looks like this perfectly smooth man.
But there's been 6 generations that have gone past him. Yes, it's so
right.
good.
Yeah.
And this when he like shows up in part 6 and it's like, I know Jotaro, I know his shape, it's triangle, and he's like a skinny little, and like his clothes are like hanging off of him. Like, I expect him to be like, Jolene, I have terrible news, it's terminal. I'm like, no.
I have TB. Like I have a wasting disease.
Part 5 is the best because it's Italiano. I love that.
It definitely is. And I forgot how Italian it is, but I always thought like they should have brought back Tonio in part 5. The Italian restaurant guy, who's only in like one episode, and then there's part 4, there's just like a bunch of people who are just there for like one episode, and then they're like, yeah, you kind of got his thing.
We love part 4 for its like sort of meandering.
Yeah.
Like it's just sort of like, hey, there's a little town, some shit's going on. And also the stakes are different.
Like today we met a weird guy.
Right. Yeah, I think it is my favorite part, but yeah, it's like, it's funny how he tries to make these connections between each part to some extent. And in 5, it's like, oh, I'll have a guy from 4 come and show up and be investigating Giorno. And let's make it just the most annoying guy that there was in that part. Like just this fucking like weird Gohan XP that I don't know. Does anyone like Koichi? I find him really...
He's okay. I like that his stand talks and says rap words in a non-English speaker's cadence.
That's good.
My issue is he doesn't deserve a 3-stage stand. Though.
Yeah.
Like, I like the idea of a 3-stage stand, but he's just, like you said, just a Gohan.
He's just a little...
But not even fun.
He's just a little shitty Gohan. And then part 4 just has so many cool guys, and he's just like, I don't know. Okuyasu is like probably my favorite core ally.
Is that the... erasing space guy?
Yeah, it's Zahando, where he's just like a big dumbass who just like yells all the time. And
I don't know if this is still the case, but the wiki back when the part 4 anime was coming out, all the fan wikis for JoJo's were saying that the stand name, the hand, named after the hand on the stand that makes the power happen, we're saying like it's a reference to the artist.
It's a reference to the band.
Like, it's fucking not. Like no, it is not. It like they don't all have to be bands.
So
like,
one weird thing about being in Japan was that we were like, while we were just like getting ready to go out or whatever, we just put JoJo on. I was there with my friend, and we started watching part 4 from the beginning, and the subtitles, like we were watching it, in Japanese, but with subtitles, and like the subtitles say the right names for the stands. And I was like, holy shit, wow, is this legal? Like, I guess it is in Japan. Like they don't fucking care about the copyright for Pink Floyd isn't gonna sue them for saying shining or crazy diamond or whatever, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's like, oh no, we can say it. It's like not in America where you'd have to go to Roger Daltrey and be like, can we call this The Who? And he's just like, what the, like trying to understand like what it is. Like, yeah, we want to.
It's like, so there's a guy and he makes another guy come out and he stands next to him.
And he's named after your band.
Yeah. So is this okay with you? Can we name it? Can we name it after this? And he's just like, what are you talking about? Like,
That's so silly because it's not like they're like if they were playing the music, that'd be one thing. But like,
I feel like
Crazy Diamond is just words.
I feel like it
folks.
must be just some lawyers being really overcautious because there's no way that that's actually a thing where like you can't say the name of a band. Like, I don't buy it.
Yeah, I do like the legally distinct.
Oh,
I don't know. I think it's like an added funness.
yeah. Some of them are good. Some of them are just like really terrible though, and it's like you could have done better. I do like when we were watching part 5, like they made craft work into arts and crafts.
I was literally
which
about
is
to
like, okay,
yes,
you did
so
something
fucking
there.
funny.
You did it. You named it after like a record company. Like that's something. It's like not maybe as good as Kraftwerk, but like Arts and Crafts is like a real record label. It's like the Broken Social Scene label. Like they put their first album out on.
I didn't even know that. I just thought that was a
Oh
funny,
no, yeah.
a funny way to
I don't know
rephrase
if they
Kraftwerk.
they must have known. Like someone must have looked it up. But obviously, like the big one that everyone's wondering about right now is what they're gonna do with Valentine's Stand in part 7, right? Because I think have they announced that they're doing an anime of it?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I haven't kept. I always assumed that the part 7 was unlikely to get anime because they would have
Horses.
to animate a lot of horses.
Yeah, I assume they'll do CG for the horses. Like whatever, I can deal
That'll
with
look
it.
terrible.
But yeah, so like in the original, Valentine's Stand is dirty deeds done dirt cheap, and then in one of the early games, I think it was All-Star Battle, they translated it as filthy acts at a reasonable price. And so that's just like,
fucking
That's so
it's
fucking
so
funny.
good. That's just so good. But then since then, they've mostly just called it D4C, like in like subsequent games. So it's like, please just like say it once. Like that's the thing is like, this is an official translation thing, right? Whereas in part 4, I was kind of disappointed when they didn't do like the meme bits of like, I'm gonna fix that spaghetti, right? Like so there's the terrible fan translation that was done by some guy, like I think some Chinese guy who translated Jojo Part 4 for like his homework or something.
Yeah, for an English class. Koichi really steals.
And What a Beautiful Duong, obviously. And then famously, yeah, like in the Italian restaurant, Josuke is like, I'm going to fix that spaghetti. But then in the official, they're like, he doesn't say that because that would be stupid. But filthy acts at a reasonable price, that's an official thing they said. There's like a chance they could do it. And I feel like they have to.
And it's a good joke.
It's a
like it
great
is.
bit. Just like, I mean, the alternative is like I found some meme of D4C a while ago that was like it being drawn in increasingly shitty quality. And it just goes from like dirty deeds done dirt cheap to like filthy acts at a reasonable price to like money for bad. And then just like ain't gay, but $20 is $20.
I think that of the big shonens, JoJo's is the one that is like most like its arms are open to stupid. Like come like give me something dumb, folks. Like the fact like it is so free. Like a lot of these series feel like they're very locked. Like we know what's gonna happen. Like the story's locked in by a lot of the conventions of the genre and just like what has been set up.
JoJo is a freak show. You don't know what's going to happen at the Carnival of Freaks. It's just weird.
Yeah.
First of all, the fact that there are parts, like you just like, and the old cast, they're in the trash, all new freaks.
Yeah.
Like that's insane. And then like the fact that he just starts off like, so this is the premise of the next part. And that's all I really know. And so until I figure out what I'm going to do next, it's today we met a weird guy. And then like, yes, like I love when they meet a weird guy. Like it doesn't need to be more complicated than that. Give the guy a funny beard that has a word shaved into it. I don't care. I love this.
Yeah, just give them a really, really fucked up haircut and like clothing that looks like it was fired out of a gun at them. That's great.
There is a guy in part 8. I'm not going to spoil too much, but I gotta tell you about this because this will really whet your appetite. He's like a middle of the part random villain of the week. You know, you've seen this a million times. Like he's not a big plot point, but like he's notable in that like his stand is like actually like very like chilling and scary, and he comes like really weirdly close to killing the entire cast for like a random villain of the week who's gone in 2 chapters. Throughout this entire time when he's like doing his like scary near total party kill shit, he has pinned to his jacket a saxophone pin that is roughly 2 feet high.
That's great.
It's just like no one does it like this. No one ever
I
could.
made a really shocking discovery recently, which like real heads obviously already know about, but I didn't realize until recently, which is that there's a guy in part 7 named Ringo Rodigan, and his whole deal is based on a commercial that Charles Bronson did for a Japanese perfume.
Whoa, I didn't know that. Tell me more.
Okay, so he's supposed to look kind of like Charles Bronson. And then his stand is called Mandem, which is the name of a Japanese like perfume and like grooming products company. And Mandem is a really
his
strange
stand
name.
operates like the commercial.
I don't think it like does. I think his thing is he just like goes back in time 30 seconds or something.
Yeah, he's the Omega 13 from Galaxy.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But like when I discovered that like 2 weeks ago, I think, it's pretty well known, but I just hadn't read part 7 in like 10 years. And then just my friend Sean wrote an article about this Japanese commercial with Charles Bronson putting on perfume and was like, what the fuck? This is what? Like Araki was just like, oh yeah, this one is going to be based on the guy from Death Wish, the time that he did a commercial for some easy money in Japan, when that was a thing that people did a lot of in the 70s and 80s.
I figured Mandem was just like some classic. It was like Mountain, like a classic rock band that you never heard. And it's like, I bet they are kind of
right.
bad.
Yeah.
I'm not going to look into this.
Yeah. No, it's a
wow.
The other thing about JoJo that I think is just a unique aspect of it is it's got just wild body horror. Do you agree with this?
Yeah.
Like
it gets really gross sometimes.
Not consistently, which is I think kind of fun because like sometimes the stand will be boring. And then I think like at least for me personally, like the one I think about in terms of like this is fucked. It's just the Metallica one, like hooks come out of your skin.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? Like it's just like obscene. Like it's just an actual nightmare, and it's just like a one-off.
It's so as soon as he like put the first healing stand
right
in, he's like, oh, okay.
Oh, I can just fuck these guys up. Like it's like Toriyama, like inventing senzu beans. Except in Dragon Ball, like people don't get fucked up. Like they get just kind of bruised, and like occasionally I think someone's hand or arm gets cut off, maybe. But like for the most part, they're just getting like punched and stuff. No one's like getting a hook into their eyeball or like their skin like deflated or what,
or like 1,000 razors shoot out of their mouth.
Yeah, he just like gushing blood and like bodies turning into cubes, and just it gets really, really weird, which is cool because I feel like a lot of I don't know, I think that's changed. I think like a lot of shonen now has been influenced by JoJo. Like there's a few things where they just sort of basically do stands at this point. They're like, yeah, this is what people like, stuff where there's like complicated rules and you have to like figure out how these powers interact, and it's not just straight up like the old style of shonen, which is sort of what JoJo started as, where it's like 2 buff guys like punching each other and like, I believe in myself more, and like I win because I have the power of friendship. Like, all right, well that that was cool, I guess, for a while, but we've kind of moved beyond that as a culture.
So one of our favorite shows, Hunter x Hunter, is like exactly that, in the sense that it is just like what if everyone's power was extremely complicated and had a deep rule set that took 2 pages of text to explain? And then in every fight, we really dug into all the edge cases that could possibly be extrapolated from that initial rule set. And like, it's so dumb. Like, I understand why a lot of people don't do that. But man, I love that shit.
I like I'm anti-homework in general, but I am a sucker for like a crunchy rule system. Not because I like the rules for nerd reasons. It's just like I like to see, like, for example, the reason I think Nen is a fun system from a writing perspective is like he sets up this system of powers, and then he gives himself this wonderful out that's like, oh yeah, and then there's this category called specialist, and that's whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah, that's the guys for whom all those rules don't apply.
I like that, and it gives a lot of juice in that way. But the thing with JoJo compared to Nen, which I think about Nen a lot, is like, do you think about making your own stand ever? Because like there's something about JoJo that it's just like, okay, I will now imagine my OC.
Yeah, so I do have to tell you that at some point, I think it was like 8 years ago, probably at this point, I did commission someone to draw a stand for me. I don't think I have it on this computer, but it was called Hounds of Love, like the Kate Bush song. And it was kind of like a golden, like, it was kind of sort of a sort of typical kind of like humanoid type stand, but I didn't like come up with powers or anything for it, but it was like just had like a almost like Egyptian kind of like dog head and was like all gold. Yeah, I got to dig that up actually because that kicked ass. And I was like, that's a really good. I feel like Hounds of Love is like a really good name for a stand too.
Oh my God,
yeah,
and
yes.
I was like, oh, I would name it after like my favorite song, and there we go. So how about you? Have you thought about this?
So I back in my younger days, what I think like around 2014, same sort of time you got your Killer Queen tattoo. I got in my head that I was going to make a JoJo RPG because at that time that was the thing. Everyone needs to get into game design. Turns out it's extremely hard, especially when the first project you take on is as thorny as JoJo's. Because I was like, well, I want to make it like the real JoJo's, where it's not about like doing damage and like hit points.
Right.
It's
and, like,
two
rolling to hit.
Columbos trying to like figure it out first.
Yeah.
Yes. A JoJo's fight, there is one attack ever, and it is the one that takes the enemy from full health to 0. And the entire conflict is, yes, how can I be Columbo and figure out the method by which I can hit them one time? And turns out it is really hard to have a mystery solving action tabletop RPG. So that didn't fucking work. But the fun part that I actually spent most of my time doing was coming up with sample enemy stands to fight against. And I did have Hounds of Love as one of them. And this was my power set for Hounds of Love. Hounds of Love was, what do you call it? It was like a swarm of like tiny little like mites. And it could go into, you could shoot one into a civilian. You would be able to possess that civilian and then manifest from them a sort of generic stand. And they would speak as you and say, this is my stand, Hounds of Love. And so you could like create the Hounds of Love. Meanwhile, you're just sitting reading your paper. No one knows that you're the one doing it. That was fun. I gotta say, though, that a Anubis head Golden God type is a better look. You could probably come up with another band name for that power set. Here's the thing I really love is when a band finds out that they're in JoJo and is like, hell, like, yes, like I'm in. The Pat Metheny group who did Last Train Home, the ending song for part 3, like put like the Polaroid of the Stardust Crusaders going like, yeah, like as the cover art for like yes, for like one of their compilations that had Last Train Home on it.
Wow.
Because they were like, shit, yeah, I love
That
this.
rules.
Like that and getting a Weird Al song are the two biggest honors, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, and Weird Al is, I think, one of the only musical artists from our world that is canonically exists.
Oh,
in,
right. Yeah. Right.
JoJo's.
Because in part 3, he mentions like who sang Eat It or what was the title of the Weird Al's parody of Beat It or whatever.
So fucking like how, because yeah, the conflict is like, is Joseph Joestar possessed by Dio or is he himself? What's something only he would know? Who sang Eat It?
Yeah.
There's no way Dio would know. He was in a coffin during Weird Al's heyday. Oh God. I also know that Robert Fripp from King Crimson knows about King Crimson and has a King Crimson like toy,
Wow.
that is so. I have described him in the past and the future as the chief autism officer of King Crimson, and it's so like it just makes so much sense that he would hear about that and like learn the power set and be like, indeed, yes, that is quite apropos for the King Crimson stand
He's like, yeah.
ability.
He's like, it just works. You know,
It
just works.
Yes.
Merritt, my understanding is you play Magic or have played Magic. The point is you did the crime at one point, right?
Yeah, I did it, and now I will do the time of talking about it.
Exactly. Okay, so here's the thing about Magic. As far as I can tell, the point of playing Magic is that you get to complain about Magic. That's like the
hell
main
yeah,
thing.
Yeah.
Is the game good? I don't know. Who fucking cares? Like, the point is we get to complain. Magic, even if I'm having a good time, is still always the game where I will not get enough lands and then lose. And, like, nothing doesn't matter. It's just, for that reason, I just always feel like there's an instant 1/3 chance to have a bad time, even if you build a deck right. That said, you actually do, like, the drafting in the tournaments, like, in person, right? Or you have...
Yeah, I started drafting again like this summer, and I've been taking a bit of a break because I am in a place now of just like what you're describing of like, wow, I kind of fucking hate this. Like, this was like an excuse to get out of the house and talk to people because I'm living somewhere right now where I don't really know anyone, but just being like, oh, and actually like there's like 2 people here that I like talking to, and the rest not so much. So it's like, is it worth going still? I don't know. But yeah, I have been doing it in person because I can't do Magic like on Arena or anything because at least in person, I can see a human being and be like, okay, you're like a complex person with hopes and dreams, and even if you're beating my ass right now, like, you know, I can tell that you will
not wish death
you don't,
on them.
Yeah, you're a human, you know, we're basically all in this together. And then online, it's like, okay, I'm facing an entity of pure malice. It knows no remorse. It can't be bargained with. It's basically the Terminator. And I just get so mad. And like I get into a thing of like, oh, I lost that one. I have to keep going tonight until I win a game. And then it's like, oh, that's a bad cycle to be in. So I've gotten so mad at Arena in the past that I have not only uninstalled Arena, but uninstalled the Epic Game Store so that I couldn't reinstall Arena. But now it's on Steam, and it's like, okay, well.
I used to play, this is not Magic, but it's Richard Garfield designed. I used to play Netrunner a ton in person. I had the similar experience where it's like, just one of the 2 of these people I like, but the rest of them are ponytail guys who I could take or leave.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And Netrunner has like asymmetric gameplay and like hidden information and like traps and stuff. So there's like an element of risk taking there. And when I'm playing against a ponytail guy, I'm like, I will never fear you. But online, I like get like terrified. And it's like, why? Like I'm just like, oh no, what if I hit a trap? Like, and the fucking killing machine who makes no errors is trying to get me. And yeah, that really I just bring this up to say I completely agree and identify with that feeling. And it sucks now because online is the only way to play Netrunner these days. So yeah, that's just a dead game.
Yeah, too beautiful to live. Yeah.
So do you play particular colors, or is it based on just the set? Because I in general, I thought I was like, I wanted to be a blue player because that means you're smart, but I'm not.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's like, it's like a big brain like thing, right? Of like, you start playing Magic and you're like, oh, like red or green, like big creatures or like strong stuff, or like black, oh, kill stuff. And then you get like a little smarter and you're like, blue is like the true intellectual's color. And then you like get even further and you're just like, no, it's just red, just like burn, just like kill fast, game over. Like, and the
you
game
don't need
quickly.
To have a strategy if everything's dead.
Yeah, like, I don't know. Historically, I have been like a blue player because I'm the worst. But yeah, Magic is, I don't know. It's fucked because like there's one color that historically just gets to say no. That gets to say you don't get to play the game. Like if people,
which isn't fun.
Yeah, counter control decks are fucking miserable, especially the mirror match where you're both just like, okay, I play a land, I pass. And it's like,
Oh, yeah.
oh, I'm just going to like wait for you to do something, then counter your stuff. And it's like, God, that sucks.
An execution that ends up being like two people not doing anything except fighting over the same bird. They keep like mind controlling.
Right. It's, yeah.
I love that. It's
This
just
image.
thinking about like the
Yeah.
fiction of what's
Right.
happening
Yes.
in a Magic fight, which is like two epic wizards, like my bird,
Right.
no, my bird, my bird.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. And so then it's like, okay, so they have to either make blue really weak to like counteract that, or it's just like incredibly overpowered. And I don't know. I think they should add more colors, you know, like just really fuck everything up.
Why not?
Get
purple.
purple,
Yellow,
yellow,
purple.
orange, gray, brown. No one would want to play brown. That would suck.
Brown's
You
land
can make
is
brown
mud.
overpowered.
Right.
It's so
yeah,
balancing.
absolutely. Like even Pokemon added types, right? Like
Yeah.
Magic could just really screw the entire balance of the game. If they at some point I bet Hasbro will force them to do that, because at this point like I'm kind of backing off the game, because again, like complaining about Magic is the most fun part of it, but they're doing this thing where they for years now they have been doing like, oh, we're doing a Fallout set, and it's just like its own set. It's not like in the standard tournament cycle, but people like Fallout and it'll make money, so we'll do that. And then now they're like, oh, guess what? All those sets, they are going to be in the game, like regardless of what format you're playing. And also that's fully half of what we're doing now. So like half of Magic this year is like Spider-Man, Final Fantasy, and some other stuff. And it's like, oh,
Everything has to be
everything.
Fortnite now, right?
Everything
Yeah.
is slop content crossover now because money. And Magic is like the only profitable part of Hasbro, I think, right now. So yeah, and they're just like, well, we can definitely squeeze these little piggies and like get new people in by just making it Spider-Man.
You know, we complain, but if they did a JoJo set,
Look, there are some.
do you think you would have what it takes
There
to
are some
resist?
sets where I would like, even like a Star Trek one, I would be like, this sucks, but I am gonna do it because I want to play. I want to like tap, 2 blue and play engage, and then like, or like it's like you're casting Riker, I'll respond with tea Earl Grey hot. Like I return
Yes.
Picard from my graveyard to the battlefield. And I get control of Riker because he has seniority, or like, it's just like, it would be fucking stupid as shit, but I would do it. So like, I am a bit of a hypocrite in that sense. I guess I'm just like, I don't know. The fact that a lot of it, that it's like Marvel to start, is like, this isn't even like fantasy. It's just like Spider-Man is here now. Like it just feels so naked in terms of like nothing can be its own thing anymore. Everything just has to slosh
Everything
over.
is undergoing a poochie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Marvel's an especially bad example. Well, not a bad example.
An egregious,
a bad
yeah.
choice. And it's the choice they all make, of course. Because, like, it has Fortnite-ified itself. Like, even, like, the
Yeah.
core Marvel product is, at this point, Fortnite. Like, I watched the fucking Spider-Man movie with the 3 Spider-Mans on an airplane, and I don't think I've seen a worse film in my fucking life. It's just like, oh, this is just look at my Funkos. And it's like, you are, you are the Spider-Man. Like, this is as Spider-Man as it gets. Like, you're real. Like, you don't have to have it all
Right.
be like, look
you're,
at my toys.
You're the thing. Like are you so unconfident that you? I mean, at this point, I think they are though, because the juice has run out of the
yes.
Marvel machine, and it's falling apart. And I think Disney is probably going to start to panic soon because they've sort of squeezed those properties for as much as they're worth. But in 3 years, it'll be 20 years since Iron Man came out, and then we're going to probably start getting remakes. So
Oh, Jesus Christ.
death.
Kill me.
Well, death is coming for all of us, and
That is like the one good thing, I guess.
yeah,
we will
that is
die.
good. True, too. Right, that death is coming, but
Yeah. Speaking of death, which will come for me, but only when I want it. My other issue with Magic is that, like, really only black gets to summon skeletons. Like, there's some multicolor skeletons, like a skeleton covered in, like, blood would be black and
Yeah.
red or whatever. But in general, the skeleton production and utilization is strictly in black domain, which is swamps. And everybody should be in on skeletons. They're, like, the most fun thing you can summon if you're a wizard. Like, that's the point of being a wizard.
yeah, to make a skeleton, yeah.
Yeah. And then it keeps coming back. It's a bud that never goes away.
There aren't as many skeletons as I thought there were. I'm looking now. There are only 79 skeletons in Magic.
And there's probably like 500 zombies, though, right?
There's a lot more zombies, I think. Yeah.
That's so lame.
Yeah, skeletons are, cooler. Let me see. Zombies. There's 586 zombies. What the fuck? This is like, I don't know. I'm gonna like make this into like a woke thing somehow. Oh, this is like
skeletons are like a basic fantasy thing. There should be more.
Yeah, this is like flesh privilege, right? Is like, wow, you think we're both undead, but you think you're better than me just because you have some scraps of skin and muscle clinging to your rotten form. Like, embrace bone life,
If I were to take a pair of mallets and run them up and down your torso,
right.
It would just sound like
goop.
It
would be nothing.
Where's my fun vibraphone melody? Nowhere.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what set I played the most in terms of just Joe putting money and time into it. I'm pretty sure it was the Mirrodin block.
That was a popular one, yeah.
Yeah, and it was good for idiots too because it's like artifacts, so like you can use half the stuff with any color. I enjoyed it. I had my first experience of like, oh, I have a fun thing, and then they're like, the skull clamp is banned. I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah, you got to ban skull clamp. That was one of those cards where they were like, oh, what if we just didn't test stuff?
Yeah, it was, and I always like playing decks where like the goal is to make a bunch of little 1/1s. So like, if you have a skull clamp, it's just like, okay, 1/1s turn into winning. We're gonna put this on your head and you win. Obviously, I get why they got rid of it. It's a thing that's like equip it, and then target creature gets +1/-1, and if it dies, draw some cards. So it's like, okay, all these little guys are getting their
you basically kill your own
brains.
little guys to draw cards was the point of that, but they just didn't realize that you could use it in like a really aggressive way.
Right, and then, like also there was an artifact, so every color has insane card draw. So like if you're playing red, you're going to outdraw blue and blow them up. What about you? What is your most played block?
Probably Lorwyn, which is dating me a little bit, but it was like a fairy tale themed set, so it was like very like creature focused. It was like, oh, you have like fairies and goblins, which were called boggarts, and elementals, and they all lived in this fairy tale world. And then halfway through that set, they were like, and then there's this thing that happens in Lorwyn where like the sun like disappears or something every once in a while, and everything just kind of like inverts. So like the elves become
cool.
like, before they were kind of like, they were black green and they were like evil and like cruel, and now they're like white green and they're like noble and righteous, and like the tree folk were like white green before, and now they're like evil and fucked up. Like it was a really cool set, but they've been saying they're going to go back to that for like ages and just haven't yet. And we got to do Spider-Man first though, guys. Like we got to get through Spider-Man, then I promise maybe some Final Fantasy, maybe I don't know,
some Bluey.
We got to do some blue. We got to do the blues. We got to do Squidward Control. SpongeBob is going to happen. Squidward Control deck is going to be really powerful in 2030.
It's going to be the meta.
Yep.
We're going to have to hear about Squidward Control over and over.
Squidward Control versus Bluey aggro. It's like, these are the powerful, these are the metas versus like RB's mid-range. Like,
I think this is why I stopped also doing drafts too, because like all this excitement that we're like, Magic is fun. Like there's a lot of elements that are fun, and like obviously I'm drawn to it. And then none of that fun stuff happens. You just lose 3 times.
Yeah, it's that is the case a lot of the time, I think. Yeah, that's where I'm at right now. It's just like, oh, do I like going somewhere? Like, do I like spending my Friday nights, like spending basically 4 hours going somewhere with like a couple people that I like talking to, and most of the rest I don't, and then losing at something like a lot? Like, I don't actually love that. I don't think.
There is something sort of beautiful about like over the course of 4 hours building a deck and just eating shit. Like it's just so, what a fun time.
Yeah.
It is. It's like slapstick. It's like getting a piano falling in your head and your head pops out and you have the keys for your teeth. It's just like, there's something admirable in the commitment to just like tripping and falling on your own face 100 times in a row.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it. But the fact that it is done, I respect.
Yeah.
Sicko mode, sicko mode, sicko mode. Sicko mode, sicko mode, sicko mode. Sicko mode, sicko mode, sicko mode. Sicko mode, sicko mode, sicko mode.
Merritt, you mentioned the book you wrote about LAN parties last year. That shit is, like, the photos of the land parties that you have compiled, some of the most beautiful images that have ever been put to the screen or to the page.
It's like how there's never been like a shark scene given birth, and now it's like we got it.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Wow. Damn. Wow.
Or laying eggs, but making more
Yeah.
sharks, I believe, is a great
I guess
whites.
they would
Sorry,
lay eggs.
great
They're
whites.
fish, right? Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
whoa,
It's like
a shark. That sounds fucked up. I can't.
that's
believe-
why we don't have pictures.
So tell us more, I guess, again about the book. You mentioned earlier it sort of came about naturally from like a Twitter conversation, which is a really cool sort of organic way to start like a photography project. But can you tell us a little bit more about like the scene and the vibe? I associate this with like this type of lighting, like 2000s era, like
Yes.
Polaroid, almost like shitty basement lighting. And it doesn't matter where you are, the lighting's always the same.
Yeah.
No skin is not shiny.
And you can't take pictures like that anymore. Like it was lost, like Damascus steel. It's gone.
Yeah. Although it's funny you say that, but like I saw someone posted a few months ago on Twitter like these photos that they took of a Halloween party, and were using like a point and shoot from the 2000s, and they had some of those same qualities to them. I think they had staged the room to have like, I mean, maybe not staged it, but the room had like a PS2 set up and a bunch of stuff too, so that added to it for sure. But yeah, something about the way that older point and shoots rendered stuff, right? And also just like the decor obviously is very different from how computers and like multiplayer stuff looks today, because
Everything is chunkier. Right?
Yeah.
Like, there's just a lot of chunky. If there's equipment in the shot, it's beige.
right.
And it's doesn't look good.
Yeah, like aside from like the few people who are doing like case mods, which at that point was only like pretty hardcore people, and also all their case mods are like just completely crazy. Whereas now computers are just kind of like, oh, just LEDs and like, you know, black cases and stuff. But there are some photos in the book of just like totally sicko things that people have done. But yeah, it's just like it's a bunch of really bulky equipment, and it's kind of ironic that like the, you know, slimming down of computers in terms of like monitor size, but also miniaturization of components so that gaming laptops are kind of a thing now. Not kind of, I mean, they have been for a long time. That kind of coincided with the rise of high-speed internet. So it's like, oh, computers are more portable than ever, but it's also easier than ever to just play games online. And most people just like prefer to play games online at this point because of the convenience.
Yeah. I will say I did like it. Not that I like gatekeeping, but I think if you want to play like a bunch of games with a bunch of other nerds in a room, you should have to lug a bunch of shit. Like that is like the filter. Now, like a light gaming laptop is not that. You've not earned it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I also I mean, looking at those photos, the thing that it brought to mind that I have not experienced since I did, you know, bring computers to a place and play games all night is that like there is a certain level of like total body malaise. Like it's hard to put like, it's not drunk. It's not like even if you like do drink, like if you don't like black out, if you black out, obviously all bets are off. But like there's some sort of feeling.
It's when your body begins producing the Smash Brothers chemical. I know they're not playing Smash Brothers, but it is
Sometimes
the same
they
chemical.
were, yeah.
Like, you know, it's like, oh, Smash tournaments smell bad, like uniquely. It's because of the Smash chemical. Like, and if you are hauling a big tower to a place and then you stay there all night and like you don't get like the thing that kept killing me was the huge stacks of Mountain Dew, because like, yes, that's what it is. And it's like there's no time to stop gaming and like deal with the demands of your body, and so you just ignore them in a way that no other activity allows you to. I mean, like you would always, even if you're like really, really depressed, you would eat a little bit, or at least like your depression would make it so that you don't really experience the hunger. But like the LAN party just gives your brain this unique avenue to just like ignore all other things. And then when it all catches back up again, it's a feeling that's not like anything else I've ever felt. It's so like you feel like you have grease like down to your bones.
Yeah. That's accurate, I think.
I think the most fun I've had at a LAN party was playing. Actually, did you ever play Fear? The
Yeah,
shooter.
yeah.
The multiplayer for that was good-ish, but the reason I think I have a very fond memory of this is that game had melee where you could like jump kick and also like baseball slide people. So I just started only doing baseball slides, and then eventually like I had a cultural victory because everyone stopped using guns. It was strictly a baseball sliding simulator. Like 20 people doing this is just like, this is what it's all about.
Hell yeah. Just like, yeah, what if we just, that would solve a lot of problems in reality too, right? I think if we all stopped using guns and just started resolving our conflicts by baseball sliding into each other, like there'd certainly be a lot fewer casualties.
I would much rather hear on the news like tragedy in insert city eras, mass baseball sliding injures dozens of shins.
It's the most humane melee game.
Yeah.
It's how they do it to the cows.
That's true. They knock them over. Yep. But yeah, the book was like a lot of fun to produce, and I guess it got me thinking a lot about just the ways that I use computers today, and I don't know that I've changed a lot about that since it came out, and I'm still like working on that, I guess. But just like reflecting on like, this seems so much more intentional than, and that's maybe a kind of trite thing to say, like, because I think if you could go back in time to that period and be like, hey, do you want to just like not have to take all your shit everywhere and just like be able to play online? People would be like, hell yeah. But
I think you're right though. In general, I feel like the intentionalness is just a problem in general. And I will point to how like, what is it, Netflix is like designing stuff for like second screen viewing, stuff you're not even like watching really. And I guess because everything is so distracted, maybe this is just my nostalgia for it, but it felt like, okay, I went to a place to like strictly game. Like I can game now, but I like go to the computer, I do other stuff. But like this was like, I am making the choice to dedicate all of my HP to gaming, and in which point I will piss Mountain Dew and go home.
Yeah, I will not stop until I'm flashing red.
I think this is just cause of everybody being like mildly distracted and doing 100 things at once all the time. It's just like nothing feels like I'm sitting down with intention.
Yeah, I mean, it's just too easy to look at a million different things at the same time, especially if you have two monitors or like a phone or whatever.
The phone sucks ass. I think that's why I have the growing affinity for visual novels that I do, is that it is a genre that sort of, I wouldn't say eliminates because nothing could, but minimizes the call of the phone. Other games, like, no matter what it is, if there's like a lull and I can just pause for a second and I don't feel any urgency, I'll pick up that damn phone, won't I? But like visual novels is just like, I'm reading. Like this is like I'm it's a book, but also I'm gaming, so it's fun. I mean, obviously I'm a book fan, but I am also someone who lives now in the screen age, and the sad fucking fact is looking at pages for an extended period is becoming difficult for my brain to do. I'm not happy about it, but that's just the way. However, if the book is on a screen, we've got a professional motion machine going, baby. I'm going to keep on doing it. The phone is nothing to me now. What's the phone got on it? Some words? I'm looking at that already. Slam dunk.
You got it. You tricked it. You found the way out. You won the stand battle against the phone.
So can I ask a closing question about LAN parties? Did this make you miss it?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's hard for anyone to like look at those pictures and not kind of miss that stuff. But yeah, like I was saying, like I think it mostly made me miss like the intentionality of it. And I'm not someone who plays a lot of games online. Like I used to more, and then I kind of just realized I don't actually enjoy it that much. But it's funny, like there's no reason why people can't really do this kind of thing anymore. And I've seen like, some people talking about the book being like, yeah, I'm gonna like go hang out with my friend and like go play stuff on our Steam Decks or something. And it's like, yeah, you should. Like that kicks ass. And it's easier now to do that in a lot of ways. It's harder in some ways because like a lot of games now don't even have like local area features. And
that
like,
makes me sad.
Yeah, they're server only, right?
When you have like a bud on the couch that's like, are we gonna play?
Right.
And it's like, oh shit, guess not.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we both have to connect to a server somewhere and then we can play it. And there's a whole bunch of reasons that I get into in the book for like why that change happened. And some of them are good and a lot of them are about a publisher or like some company having more control over, your experience. But people are still doing stuff like this, and I think that is cool. And also we have seen kind of a small resurgence of arcades, at least in major cities, in terms of like really weird artisanal type games like Killer Queen, not the stand, but like the arcade game.
Yeah.
And
we are near Logan Arcade in Chicago, which has, I think that was where like one of the first Killer
nice.
Queen cabinets were, and like all of the adult children in Chicago go to. I mean, I'm say this as one. Go to Logan Hardware all the friggin' time. It is packed every night.
Oh, that
with
rules.
Freaks.
So I think,
love it.
I think, some people do miss the stuff and do want to recreate that. And there is something nice about being in the same place as another person and not just being, you can be on a Discord call with your friends, but it isn't always the same.
I think, yes, that is the key thing that, I mean, it's not even so much because I'm thinking about like what games did we play at LAN parties? Games that I sucked ass at and lost constantly. So like that actually wasn't the fun part. Like the fun part, then the thing that I like miss is like what if I could just be with all of my friends at once for like 7 or 8 hours at a time? Like now, like when I see my friends, it's like for dinner or for brunch, and then we go home because there's stuff we got to do, and it's so like, like Joe and I, we talk every day. I haven't seen Joe in real life in like 4 weeks. Ridiculous. I hate it. A LAN party would solve this. You know what else? We've talked about this at length. I don't think on mic, so this will be the first time. Folks, there's one computer part company that's fighting the good fight for making shit ugly and disgusting like it should be. And you should be reminded that you're sinning. Yeah? This is Noctua. Their standard color scheme is to have 2 main colors. One is cum white and the other is diarrhea brown. It is the worst 2 colors you could possibly have.
And if you want an all black fan, it costs more. They know what's up.
It costs more.
That rules. Good for them.
We're the anime sickos, and we're here to say anime is bad in a war crime way.
Folks, we're done. Over now. That was Merritt K Goes Guesto Mode. Merritt, thank you so much for joining us. I'll say it. Great. Big fun.
Yeah, this was great. Thanks for having me.
It was a delight. We would do it again, except we tend to just not have guests back because it's a lot of work. And
It's nothing
there's
you
always
did.
new
It's just
guests
how
to
it goes.
Sure. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. Anyway, if people want to know more about you, look at your stuff, read your stuff, play your stuff, etc., where can they go? What would they do?
Yeah. So right now I am most active on Blue Sky. I'm merrittk.com on there. And then the main other thing is to check out the game. It's on Steam. It's called Fledgling Manor. It's also on itch.io if you're one of those people who hate Steam for whatever reason. You're just mad at Gabe for not releasing Half-Life 3. You just want to stick it to him. That's fine too. It's on itch as well, Fledgling Manor. And we will probably be doing something new in the new year. So you can also follow the studio, which is called In Secret Places on Blue Sky. And I don't know if we're posting on Twitter anymore. I think I might be abandoning that platform this year. But you can follow us on Blue Sky as well. And if you like the game, keep an eye out for more soon.
Hell yeah, that's Fledgling Manor. I'll say the title a few more times. Fledgling Manor. Fledgling Manor. Fledgling Manor.
And the studio that made it?
The studio is called In Secret Places, and it's on Blue Sky, insecretplaces.com.
In Secret Places. Okay. You got it.
Absolutely. Like old commercials, yeah.
Thank you again. This was so much fun. It was a treat to have you on. First episode of the new year. I think a great one.
Happy New Year.
Hell yeah. Anyway, see you next time. I've been Tom, an anime sicko.
I've been Joe, an anime sicko.
I've been Merritt, an anime sicko.
Hell yeah. See you next time. Bye-bye.
See ya.
thank you for listening to Anime Sickos. I've been Tom, a sicko. You can follow me on Twitter at TomHarrison19. Joe is also a sicko. You can follow him on Twitter at ShariaUncle. You can follow Anime Sickos on Twitter at Anime Sickos, or email us at animesickos@gmail.com. Please leave us a review or something. I don't know. Tell a friend. Anyway, until next time, bye.